There we go. There we go. I am not a moron. Oh wait, no, it came loose again.
This video is brought to you by Squarespace. More on them later.
Hey, it's you. Welcome back to my ongoing series of building one of my favorite robotic characters from one of my favorite video games, Wheatley from Portal 2. So I don't really know how to structure these videos, and I've decided that today's episode is going to be a list. So let's start with upgrade number 1. There's someone outside the garage and it spooked me. And action. So this first one is pretty simple, but it matters to me. See, these are Wheatley's eyelids, and I was getting ready to finish them. You can see they're primed and sanded, but I had it wasn't an idea so much as I left them out in the sun and they warped irreparably. So these are bad. That meant I decided to redesign them to be a lot more svelte. Actually, I do need the old one. So as you can see, I shaved off quite a bit from the original design, and these actually weigh half as much. You know, you would think I would learn my lesson, but I sanded and primed and painted this version too, and then I left it out in the sun and it warped irreparably. So, where is it? We've got the same version of eyelids, nice and svelte, nice and light. Nice and light. And these work perfectly. We'll do a quick motor test later. So here they are fully open, and you can see they don't peek out. I mean, I can tilt them like they are visible, but I think that's pretty good considering this still gives me full eye coverage. So that is awesome. Two of the most important features of Wheatley's design are his handles. These basically function as his eyebrows, and they're one of the more sane parts of his design that I had to build, and thankfully fairly straightforward. So I'd split these up into a few components. First up, we've got the curved grip section, which attaches to the lever arm. This has this little greebly rod, which does nothing, but it adds a little more visual flair to the design. And we've also got the axle. So you'll notice that the axle and the curved rod have rounded rectangular heads, which fit nicely into the lever arm. That way, when I turn the axle, the lever arm and the grip parts move simultaneously, and this doesn't rotate freely in place. We only want this to move when we're driving it. Speaking of driving it, the way I'm accomplishing that is with, I'm gonna find it, I tried to get away with using a micro servo, but it just wasn't up to the task of rotating an 80-gram mass at 10 centimeters distance. So I just settled for a regular analog servo. And to mount everything, I made this riser arm which holds the servo in place. You can see it's got a gear on the head, and that mates to the end of the axle. So this shoulder screw is actually glued to that 3D printed piece, so everything is locked in place, and it's balanced out by a matching one on the other side, but we only need to drive one side to make it go. Previously, the motor that was responsible for allowing Wheatley to tilt forward and back was having a rough go of it, so I tossed it. And now I installed this much stronger digital servo that will get the job done. Now, this is what would allow Wheatley to do a full 360-degree rotation if this were a continuously rotating motor. So why don't I do that? Well, there's a couple reasons why. Remember how I said that Wheatley cheats at physics? Well, this is one of those subtle ways that he does it. Remember these mounts from a minute ago? Well, if Wheatley were to rotate, the inner eye assembly would hit them. Now I know what you're thinking, why not just make the mounts smaller? Well, the handles have to be attached somewhere, and they're actually really close to the inside of the shells already. It would be extremely complicated to change the design in such a way that these would be stable. Also, I'd rather everything look accurate and mostly work how it does in the game, rather than working accurate but changing the design. That's not good enough.
I mean, it's not like I would compromise my values just to save time. That's crazy.
Speaking of saving time, if you want to save time building a website, then I think you'll enjoy today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform where you can choose from over 200 top-level domains like .com or .biz, whatever you want. I've been using Squarespace for several years now as my personal portfolio site, but you can use it for just about anything. You can do e-commerce. I don't know how to make a shopping cart. I don't know how to handle credit cards, but I do know that if I use Squarespace, I can do it in an afternoon and I'm good to go. Making an online website with Squarespace is easy. Just head on over to squarespace.com to get started with your free trial. And if you're ready to launch your website, head on over to squarespace.com/Mr. Volt and use coupon code Mr. Volt, that's MRVOLT, to get 10% off your next website or domain today. All right, let's go test out my animatronic. Now we're getting on to the fun stuff. See, Wheatley has this mechanism at the back that allows his inner assembly to roll. So this is how it looks in my version. So this is actually going to look very similar to how it is in game. The only difference is I've got a servo motor right here that is at a 90-degree angle because I can't allow it to stick out the back because that's where the rotating platform is. This, I lost it, has a miter gear on the shaft, which mounts to the shaft that has the little pulley, which has a belt that drives a larger pulley. I just added an idler bearing so I can tension the belt more easily. And then this mounts to this shaft, and the rest of his body is rotating about this hollow shaft, which allows me to run servo wires and his main power wires through the rear. Now on the other side of the shaft, you can see I've changed the motion platform. See, I don't actually need the full Stewart platform because that is excessive, but I still have the same range of motion with 3 servos. This will still allow his eye to tilt left and right, up and down, and move in and out, but it'll do it with fewer motors. So that's a win in my book. This I'll show later. It's a little bit tricky to show as is. Now you might have noticed that I've been using a paper insert for Wheatley's eye temporarily, and the round LCD, yes, this is a round 1080p LCD, is fragile and the most expensive component in his design. So I only have one of these, so I've been pretty careful with it. Now I've already gone ahead and mounted the Raspberry Pi on the back there. You can see it's connected via HDMI, and I've got a cable for power for the Pi and the display. I am aware that they have these tiny little HDMI 180 degree connectors, but mine just doesn't work. I don't know, maybe yours does. So this cable will still work just fine. So let's go ahead and put this in his eye case. All right, let's go ahead and plug this in. Now I know I can disable that color splash, but I think it looks awesome, so I'm gonna leave it there. And now we've got a beautiful Wheatley eye. No longer a mere piece of paper, but a beautiful glowing LCD. Has more features, but we'll do that. We'll save that for the final test. This next upgrade isn't so much an upgrade as it is an entirely separate device. If you haven't seen my latest video, this is my Waldo. I go into more detail there, but the gist of this whole mechanical contrivance is this will allow me to electronically puppet Wheatley. That way, I don't have to manually control the individual servos or pre-program animations. It is a serious time saver. The stage is set and we're almost ready for the first full motion test of Wheatley. There are 11 servo motors in there and I am going to be controlling it via a direct tether to the Waldo. I've got a second camera here so we can get both shots at the same time. Let's go ahead and turn him on. All right, just in case something goes wrong, I'm actually gonna film this entire calibration process. So I did actually damage the roll motor. Doesn't work. So this twisting action, we'll have to wait for that. You can't make a personality core omelet without cracking a few servo eggs. Something like that. But everything else is working. Okay, testing commencing in like 5 seconds. All right, sliding into the Waldo. And we are Wheatley. Oh wait, did I put that on wrong? Nothing I can't change in software. But I do want to fix that upper handle. Hold on a second. These are science binder clips. They're very important. Well, what is going on? There we go. All right, we're back in action. Back in Wheatley action. Oh, the screw's loose again. Ah! 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 There we go. There we go. I am not a moron. Oh wait, no, it came loose again. All right, let's do another quick test. Man, I have waited for this for so long. I still need to figure out the control for his motion platform because it's kind of a weird mechanism. And he's able to intersect his parts, which is a little risky. Little risk of serious Wheatley damage. But, look at that.
I don't know what you think you are doing, but I don't like it. I want you to stop.